Everyone wants to talk horsepower, 0 to 60, track numbers, quarter miles. But here's the question nobody asks when you're talking about cars. When's the last time you actually needed any of that? I'm not racing anyone, and you're likely not racing anyone either. We're all just sitting on the interstate commuting to and from work. What I actually need is a car that can handle 5 days of commuting without draining me or my wallet. And this isn't just an EV thing. Ask yourself, how often are you stopping for fuel? Is all that power under the hood actually costing you efficiency every single day? Now, don't get me wrong, it's nice to drive something that puts a smile on your face on a bad day. But today, let's talk the philosophy behind picking the car that actually works for your life. This is Everyday Driven by DJ, where we talk real drives, real life, and the real questions behind the philosophy of picking a car.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Everyday Driven by DJ. This episode, I want to talk more about the philosophy of car selection and trying to determine which car might be right for you. Specifically, with this episode, talking about which is more important, the miles you can get on a full battery or a tank of gas, or the horsepower that goes along with the engine that's in your vehicle. In today's world, the horsepower number seems to really reign king, regardless of what type of vehicle you're talking about. Now, if we were specifically talking about EVs, then I would say it's the opposite. It's more likely the range of the vehicle. But that's not something you really talk about when you're talking about internal combustion vehicles, which I find kind of amusing because one of the reasons I most disliked the Mazda CX-5 I had was because we took it on a road trip and I could only get like 275, maybe 280 miles on a tank of gas. Like, I disliked that fact with an internal combustion engine vehicle so much that on my way home from that road trip in the CX-5, we traded it in for Jeep Grand Cherokee EcoDiesel. But with the EVs, the range number is important, whereas horsepower is not such a big thing that everybody talks about, even though the horsepower numbers are wildly high in an EV. So, realistically, both apply in either situation, regardless of your fuel source for your vehicle. And so maybe you should figure out what is important for you, because if range is important, maybe you could have a little bit of fun by getting an EV that has higher range and has a higher power rating. Or maybe power is not so important and you do want the comfort of being able to go to a gas station. I will say, vehicles that are built for range are generally more comfortable. The range of what I'm driving today, the Jeep Wagoneer S, obviously is less than the range of the Audi RS3 that also sits in our garage. I can do 290-ish miles on a road trip in the Jeep, whereas I could do closer to 400 in the Audi. But the Jeep has a much more comfortable ride. And I will say the same of the Grand Cherokee that we traded the CX-5 for. The Grand Cherokee rode so much nicer, and with the EcoDiesel engine, 400, I think even 450 miles was nothing. That was a walk in the park for that thing. And it was a great road tripping vehicle. This Jeep, the Wagoneer S, granted, it's a comfortable highway cruiser, but the range leaves a little bit to be desired. And that's typically the case for your comfort and your range seeking vehicle if you're looking at an internal combustion engine. They're more posh. There's not so much focus on the power. You just want to be able to ride down the road feeling nice. Whereas if you want something that's got a little more power to it, if it's an internal combustion engine vehicle, then that typically means sport tuned suspension. You're going to have a stiffer chassis. You're going to have something that's more tuned for running around a track, not driving down the road. And that's exactly the case with our RS3. I like driving that car because I love the sound that 5-cylinder engine makes. There's an excitement to it, and it's just a fun to drive car, but it is not comfortable. It's loud inside because the tires have basically no sidewall. The suspension is stiff. It's tuned for racing. It's not tuned for sitting on the interstate in bumper to bumper traffic, which also means that because of those power ratings and the way that the vehicle is set up, that it's also not the most economical in stop and go traffic. And any sport tuned vehicle is going to be that way. It's a trade off that you really have to decide for yourself, that to me comes down to, do I want a comfortable ride or not? Am I okay sacrificing comfort for a little bit more excitement? And those are the questions you should be asking yourself. I like comfort. Sure, the Jeep has a little bit of wild excitement to it, but let's be honest, most EVs are kind of lacking in the excitement department because there's something to do with the sound of, whether it's the inline 5 that's in the RS3, or a really nicely balanced V6, or a throaty V8. There's something about the sound factor that does add to the level of excitement that you just don't get with an EV. But I don't need that on my day-to-day drive. Sometimes after a stressful day in the office, it's nice to sit in a quiet cabin and not have a droning exhaust note in my ear all the way home. And with that comes a more comfortable ride, comfortable seats. But that's just how I feel about it. Now, my husband commutes a similar distance to me when he does go into the office, and he still enjoys the RS3. He likes doing the commute in that car, does not complain about the lack of comfort whatsoever. So, different people have different tastes. It's really what it comes down to, and those are the questions you should be asking yourself. I'm not going to bore you with any more about that, because really it's up to you. Do you want comfort or not? And then that will help you decide if you want something with more power or something that'll take you a little bit further between refueling or recharging stops. Simple as that. As always, stay safe, drive well. I'll catch you next time.